Travis Wayne Goodsell. So I need to keep this as short as possible so that I will have everything caught up and ready to go to watch the State of the Union at 7 p.m. here in Utah time. As this weekend is apparently the spring forward time change. Time and Date sent me an email about that. So church news time. President Johnson is going around demanding that men change and allow women freedom. Calling it religious freedom. It's sick and wrong. It's a political thing and it's a religious thing. You blame something else. For religion, it's Jesus. For politics, it's other people. Yeah. Twist things around so that it's confusing. Oh no, maybe they're right. For example, a border problem. In the Constitution of the United States of America, which has fallen thanks to the Supreme Court, nevertheless, in the document that it is written in, which nobody wants to follow, and thus our government has fallen, spiritually anyway, just waiting for the physical fall now. Congress is responsible for immigration. They're responsible for the rules and system of regulation, or immigration. It's up to them. Nobody else. Congress. That's it. That's all. So, if there's a problem at the border processing immigrants into the United States of America, and it's following Congress's process, and it's just the judges there at the border that are slowing things down, then it's the judge's fault. And Congress, I'm not sure if it's the state governments that assign the judges to be immigrant judges, or if that is a Senate responsibility. But it's a congressional regardless. And so I'm pretty sure it would be, let's check. We've got Google these days. Even though Google always will have the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints at the top several pages. But eventually, if you get into about a half a dozen pages, you'll find what you're looking for, according to what you typed. Immigration judges appointed by the U.S. Senate. Immigration judges are appointed by the Attorney General of the United States. Oh. That's not in the Constitution. The hell? The Attorney General? So yeah, if it's going slow, it's the Attorney General's fault. Right there, dear God. The United States Department of Justice, .gov. Holy crap. And it was put in December 1st, 2023. So now I can see what they're complaining about, sort of, but not really. Because the other issue, and this is what MAGA and MAGA press are all screaming and crying and moaning about, is that immigrants coming to the border is a national security threat. They're terrorists, rapists, drug pushers, sex traffickers, and poor. And so yes, then as a national security threat, it would be the president's responsibility to send in the National Guard and the Army, as long as it's on the other side of the border of the United States, because the Army is not supposed to set foot in American soil. But nonetheless, yeah, that's the whole debate, is that MAGA is saying it's a national security threat, terrorists, rapists, little kids, little rapists and terrorists. Whereas otherwise, it's an immigration issue, which apparently, I learned something new today. The Attorney General Garland is responsible for putting in justices that will get the process going. And we get hundreds of thousands every year trying to come into America. You would think that they would go, you know, maybe I should go a little bit faster. I think I've got job security. But nonetheless, notwithstanding, dear God. So yeah, and the my choice versus pro-life movement, wrong argument, but again, another illustration. MAGA is for pro-life of the sperm. Every sperm matters. Say the name of the sperm. And the Fox is doing that argument now. The woman that recently died, they're complaining that Biden isn't saying her name. Oh my God. There's hundreds of thousands of people who are dying every day. You don't expect them to say every single one of their names, do you? They're just picking fights just to argue for the sake of arguing. But the pro-choicers, oh my God, women, what the hell? 14th Amendment, Section 1, oops, Supreme Court overthrew that, not Roe v. Wade. You're being diverted away by the deep state Dem press to ignore the fact that you had rights as a female, as a woman, born or naturalized in the United States of America. And this is also part of the border argument. MAGA doesn't want these people to become citizens. So they're arguing. And they're terrorists. Kick them out. When you understand the Constitution, you can understand that both parties that are dominant, we don't really get to choose any other party, it's like wasting your vote, are clear out in their own little bubble world, far away from the Constitution. But they all draw near to the Constitution with their lips, but their hearts are far from it. Isaiah rules. And so yes, with religion, the church goes around the world saying, religious freedom. We want religious freedom. Give us religious freedom, you terrorist governments. Religious freedom. You've got religious freedom. The First Amendment, the freedom of religion. What? And so yes, what the church is saying is not what they're saying. They don't want religious freedom. They want dominance. They want their kingdom back. But they're purposely using the right speech to cause confusion and get their way. This is bullying behavior 101 in the previous video I did today. And so that's what Johnson is doing. You know, she's going around with her happy smile. Yay, religious freedom. Yay, for women, it's International Women's Day. And yet she doesn't, I think she's seriously a blonde from the 80s that was picked on, thanks to psychologists who helped pick on blondes. I saw the whole setup right before it happened. Are you a Marianne or a Ginger? Well, what about a blonde? And so yes, blondes versus brunettes swept my grade school. Do you like a blonde or a brunette? Well, I kind of like redheads. Don't know what to do with them because I'm prepubescent. And so yes, sure enough, in the 80s, women were, all the blonde jokes emerged and bimbos as women were being trashed, saying you're ugly, you need to make you got to give yourself boob job, and you got to Botox, and you got to tan. You're too white. You got to be ashamed of your white body. And it's like, hello, blackface, racist. Hello, what are you doing to these little white girls? Leave them alone. And so, yeah, this psychological bullying dominated. And so, yes, I can see her being a complete ditz. And when I hear her at conference, yeah, she's a complete ditz. And she's just reading off of a paper from the screen. And she does those facial expressions. Oh my God, what is she taking? Help me, I'm scared, Mommy. And so, yeah, the church loves this kind of person. Woman, black, LGBTQIAPO+, but not LGBTQIAPO+ in action. And Jewish. Look, we have a friend who's a Jew. We have a friend who's black. We have a friend who's a woman. We have a friend who's sexually challenged. We have friends. And we're doing a business deal with, we're working together with them. And yes, all of these people are being used by the church for the church's purposes. Just like Trump used people until they didn't do what he wanted them to do and he fired them. In the church, you get excommunicated if you don't do what the church wants you to do. Dear God. All the abuse. And to hear in the news that now all the Mormon women who are taking depression drugs because of the abuse of the church are now at risk for heart problems. I saw that coming, and there it is. It's now happened. And so, Quentin L. Cook, down in Central America, deceiving the youth into following the Christian Constantine God of Jesus. You can't convince me it's otherwise. Just because you call it a different nature and character. That was the whole Council of Nicaea. That was what it was all about. Creating a Christ, creating Christianity, and thus creating the nature and character of this brand new created Christ that they named Jesus. They could have named it any other name. Rodrigo Cristo. Nope, they chose Jesus. And so, what was the nature and character going to be? Every single congregational leader that was forced to attend, to give up their religion, had a different nature and character of their particular Christ. And they all were rejected. Every single one of them. Nope, you're all wrong. And because nobody could decide, Constantine created a brand new word that doesn't exist and therefore means doesn't exist, not real. A musion. And yet that doesn't stop Christians from trying to explain the meaning. It's just so humiliating to and it's so painful to watch as people try to explain. It's like Mormon trying to explain how the Book of Mormon, when it says the learning of the Jews, is somehow connected to the Christian Jesus of Constantine. Oh my God. Did you get President Johnson's DNA blonde gene? Seriously. It takes people who are illiterate to join the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And if a Mormon still, when they become an adult, can't figure out that there are some problems with Mormonism, that the scriptures are saying one thing and the prophets are saying another, that section 119 is in violation of the Book of Mormon, section 132 is in violation of the Book of Mormon, section 115 is in violation with the Book of Mormon and with Joseph Smith. I had a dumbass comment right before this in which a guy was trying to say, oh no, Travis, the 1834 name change was changed from the original name of the church in 1830 of the Church of Jesus Christ. Oh my God. He's never even read his scriptures. This is humiliating. Oh my God. It's all over our priesthood meetings. At least it used to be. Do they not do it anymore? Is this guy too young? See, now listen to this. And I can see where people can get confused, but it's not the name of the church. Section 20, verse 1. The rise of, wait for it, pull my ear, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. No! The rise of the Church of Christ. I don't see Jesus in the title. Oh, but other people wrote in their journals. What people? Danites? Dear God. In these last days, being 1,836 years since the coming of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ in the flesh. Did you see what he did there? Joseph Smith knows Jesus Christ is an abomination. He says so in verse 9 of the 1838 canonized history, even though the wrong name of the church is in verse 1, because Willard Richards put it there. Joseph Smith's Papers exposes this. I put it in that video. He didn't talk about that. Nonetheless, this Mormon, and I'm assuming he's been in the church the whole time, from birth, raised up in the church, every year for the Doctrine and Covenants, whether it's Sunday school, seminary, institute, it's all talked about. This was the name of the Church of Christ. And yet, Sarah Jessica Parker, whatever her name is, Evans, on the church news, is saying the Church of Jesus Christ. She's lying. This was the name, the Church of Christ, 1834, changed to the Church of the Latter-day Saints. Latter-day Saints are Christ's. Hello? Did you never go through the initiatories? What do you take upon yourself the name of? Oh, well, it doesn't really mean that we take upon ourselves the name, even though it says, take upon yourself the name of. That's what Bednar was trying to fool you with when he talked about it. You're an example of Christ, not actually taking his name. And yet, all Mormons know from apologists at BYU about facsimile number 2 and its translation. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, it's 8. And it's backwards, sort of, not really, because you just read into the, and it's perfectly fine. But the person who's died, and this hypocephalus, which was placed on the back of his head of the mummy in the coffin, is given a new name. That new name is the name of Christ, Osiris. And so thus, Osiris Shishak. Shishak. I don't see an N there, so it's Shishak. But Even Mormon apologists know this, and most likely because Egyptologists told them this. But this is what is done in Mormonism under Joseph Smith. You go through the temple initiatories, you take upon yourself the name of Christ as your new name added to your name. Easy breezy cover girl. Or maybe it's Maybelline. Dear God. But the church doesn't want anything to do with language. That's why they don't have the correct answers for you. You're sticking to Christian, and thus, boom. The big story, well, it's not really the big story. Nothing was a big story. I just wanted to do something tonight, and I'm already taking too long. How preserving the Kirtland Temple, who preserved it? Community of Christ, points people to God. Which God? It's not the same God as Joseph Smith, because he's Father Amen, and the Community of Christ gave up on Joseph Smith. And so it's not the same God. But still, Joseph Smith III was fooled into thinking that we're Christian, because he went out to see Brigham Young's church and what was going on, and saw that the name of the church was the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and he wrongfully assumed that he assumes authority from Joseph as the president of the 12, and so he said, I can do this better, and did it better, but without authority. Just like Brigham, no authority. And so he called it the Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And they kept certain original stuff of Joseph. They did not include the additions of Brigham Young, many of which were plagiarized documents. And so the Community of Christ, as it later got changed to, do not acknowledge any of Brigham Young's stuff. But they never knew about the temple ordinances, because Joseph Smith III didn't know them. He wasn't born yet when his daddy died. And so all he knows is what he saw in Utah. And he's not allowed in the temples. He didn't have a temple recommend. He wasn't paying tithing. And so, yeah, he knew nothing of the temple rituals. So the Community of Christ never practiced temple rituals. And so it was easier for them to transition to full-on Christianity, just as many Mormons who leave the church go and join some Christian church or create their own, like Gerald and Sandra Tanner did. You know, they got excommunicated, and so, okay, fine, we'll start our own Christian church, believing that it's a Christian church because the church told them it's Christian, that they're illiterate because learning of the Jews, it's Jewish. Easy breezy cover girl, or maybe it's Maybelline. And so Latter-day Saints and others react to the church's acquisition of the temple and explain how their testimonies are strengthened. You don't strengthen a testimony. A testimony is the evidence of the fruit from the seed. And a spiritual witness is not fruit. There's no physical witness. It's a spiritual witness, which means it's the initial seed of the word. It is what you're supposed to have faith in and produce the fruit from it. Mormons are told to stop at fruit or seed. Do not produce the fruit, because you won't get any, or it will be bad. Jesus tells me to hurt people. It must be true. I see it with the comments. Did Jesus tell you to do that? And so no, you can't strengthen a testimony. You either have one or you don't. In a court of law, if you're caught strengthening your testimony, you get charged with perjury. God, unbelievable. The ignorance and the miseducation that Mormons are just accepting as true because a living prophet of Jesus told us. And this was Caitlin Bancroft who gave us that title and subtitle. She's working for the church. And she now has influenced many Mormons who watch this, and I don't know if anybody actually goes to the church news. But those who go there will see what Caitlin Bancroft put in here. And this is blatantly false doctrine. This is dangerous doctrine. This is deadly doctrine that can cause harm. Not just from the people who believe it and attack me, but to you for believing in it. This is just so sick and wrong. How Mormons just don't have a clue about anything and how to put it all together. So sad. And so no, it's just to just say God is wrong. Because evangelicals in this nation with the Pledge of Allegiance, they used to go into a big old frenzy froth, foaming at the mouth. We must say in God. And there were atheists that were trying to take out God from the Pledge of Allegiance. And I even had a teacher who, when I was told, either I was told or I was watching him when we got to that point, and he didn't say under God. He just let it go, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. And we were done. And I thought, that's strange. He didn't say under God. And now it's turned into, a war on Christmas. You must say Merry Christmas, no happy holidays. This is because religion is trying to overthrow the government. They don't want other people to have their religious beliefs. So when the church is joining with evangelicals in all of this nonsense, it's not for religious freedom. It's to overthrow the government, to force people to believe them and their beliefs or be the enemy. The terrorists, the rapist little children. Little children are drug pushers. They're mules. That would be sad if that were the case, because this stuff would be baggy down the, oh God. And then it bursts, and then they die. But, I mean, dear God, such hate. That's all this controversy is. It's just all hate. Hate for human life. To take away agency of other people and to destroy. Nobody gets it. Mormons don't get it. When Elder Quentin L. Cook tells thousands of Central American youth to follow Jesus Christ, he hates you. He wants you hurt. He's giving you a false Christ to worship. Quentin L. Cook hates you. Elder Christofferson concludes European ministry tour, urges focus on Jesus Christ. He hates you. He does not want religious freedom for you. He hates you. President Johnson, for religious freedom for women. She hates women. Tabernacle Choir and the Church of Jesus Christ recognized in the Georgia Senate. They hate you. Who else can we find here? 2 international ambassadors visit church headquarters and talk with somebody else other than the First Presidency. They hate you. Christofferson was in the news a lot, apparently, for the last little while. New stakes and reorganized stake presidencies announced. They hate you. Elder Anderson tells high school students, don't lean away from education. He hates you. You're not catching on? Covenants bind us to God. Elder Renlands at BYU. He hates you. What covenants is he talking about? The temple covenants. Obey your husband. Sacrifice your life to protect the church from criminal prosecution. Obey the prophets. Give loyalty to them. And, since 2019, the higher law of Jesus of polygamy. And then chastity, polygamy, since 2019. And then the law of consecration. Yeah, you're a slave to the church. You give everything to us. You own nothing. You must work. They hate you. Do not get this. You are forced to pay them, or they punish you. They hate you. How many times do I have to keep repeating this? All these years, do you not get it? They hate you. This is not love. This is a criminal organization. They hate you.